Hi, this is Chen. Previously, I've arranged a one-day return trip from Beijing to wulanchabu for the beautiful grassland and mysterious volcanoes. And in this video, I'll show you my itinerary and some travel tips. Inner Mongolia, to the north of Beijing, is known for its vast and beautiful grasslands. The Mongolian plateau covers an area of over 2 million square kilometers and is one of the most important places for China's livestock farming industry. Its biggest attraction, without doubt, is the natural scenery of open grasslands. Endless rolling steppes stretching towards the horizon, broken only by low hills, wind-shaped grasses, and the occasional cluster of grazing livestock. However, unknown to most visitors, wulanchabu, besides grassland, it also has a landscape of volcanic cluster. What you see now are the ancient dormant volcanoes that previously erupted about 6,000 years ago. What makes those volcanoes unique is not their height, but their setting. Unlike typical volcanic regions that feel harsh or barren, wulanchabu's volcanic terrain is integrated into a living grassland ecosystem. Thanks to the high-speed train, it only takes 2 hours to reach Inner Mongolia from Beijing and make a same-day return trip possible. I personally took the early train setting off at 8 a.m., arriving at 9:50 a.m., leaving enough time to explore 2 sites in a day. As a tour guide myself, I tend to make an ambitious but also practical itinerary. We rented a car in advance and took us another 1 hour to reach the grasslands from the railway station. We arrived at around 11:50 a.m. We were visiting Huanghuagou, a well-known grassland site, but we also noticed along the way there were plenty other grasslands open to visitors for free. The Huanghuagou, which means gully or valley of yellow flowers, is a huge site with 2 entrances. We entered by the southern gate because it was closer to the most beautiful scenery, and we also need to save time for the volcanoes. We roughly spent 4 hours there, leaving at around 4 p.m. If you plan to spend a full day there, you probably could consider entering by the northern gate, where you can take your time to visit the geographic park, the birch forest, and it was a more complete trip. I actually did this in 2019, but at that time I stayed overnight the day before. Again, time is the main consideration in terms of choosing the suitable entry. At around 4 to 4:30 p.m., we set off to the tourist center, also the southern gate of the Ulaanbaatar Volcano Geographic Park. It took us around 1.5 hours to arrive. The whole site is huge, consisting of over 6 volcanoes along a road of over 30 kilometers. There are 2 ways to visit it. One is to take the shuttle bus offered by the site. The other is to drive by yourself. We actually suggest you to drive by yourself. It's much more flexible and you could enjoy the site better. The main attraction there is at the number 6 and number 5 volcano. They have the most stunning views. You will see them far in the distance while you're driving along the road. It was much more fun than we first expected. We actually didn't leave until sunset at around 8 p.m. We did hope to arrive there earlier, leaving us more time, but luckily that was also enough for us to cover the main volcanoes. It was another 1.5 hours drive back to the train station, and we arrived at the train station at around 10 p.m. after returning the rented car, etc. Our train was at 10:40 p.m. and we were back to Beijing at around 0:30 a.m. in the midnight. I know it was a long day, but it was also a very fun day. And as you could imagine, we had a very good sleep that night. And here is our itinerary for your reference. Please be noted that the train schedules are changing every month, so please check it out before you make your own plan. I really enjoyed a lot, both the grasslands and the volcanoes. Because my job was showing people around the historical sites, I actually personally have a thing towards natural sceneries. What makes those areas especially appealing for travelers from Beijing is the contrast. In just a few hours, you go from dense urban skylines to a place where the loudest sound is the wind moving through the grasses. It feels open, simple, and almost timeless, like the landscape itself encourages you to slow down. And the landscape of volcanoes, which could be common elsewhere in the world, is the one and only in its kind in terms of grassland volcanoes in China. This region is filled with clusters of low volcanic cones. Over time, erosion and weathering soften their shapes, blending them into the surrounding grasslands, so that the landscape feels both rugged and strangely calm at the same time. And that was probably my first time seeing a volcano up close, so I was super excited actually. However, I also feel like both sites are not that kind of sites that can offer full-day tours, and they are in an awkward situation. Staying overnight seems too much, and finishing them in 1 day is a little bit too tight. But just speaking for myself, I personally prefer a 1-day tour, which is totally manageable, by the way. I feel like we could have done better in terms of the allocation of time. First, we didn't realize the car rental service we chose wasn't at the exit of the train station until we arrived, which they usually do. And we could have contacted the staff there and asked them to pick us up, which would save us a lot of time. Second, I also think we spent too much time visiting the grasslands. Because we entered by the southern gate of Huanghuagou, we basically saw the best views at first. So no need for 4 hours actually. 2 or 3 are probably a better option. Third, we spent too much time on the number 6 volcano, which was really great itself. But if I've known what was waiting for me, the number 5 volcano, I would definitely reallocate the time for each volcano. If we got more time, we could actually climb all the way up to the top of the number 5 volcano, the view of which I believe would look very amazing. But we still enjoyed an amazing sunset at the foot of the volcano. But still, we enjoyed the tour very much. And it's just what if we could have done it differently. And I also have some travel tips to share. First thing first, choose the right month to visit. Visiting there is actually a very seasonal thing. We visited in mid-June. It was pretty good. But the greenery is usually from June to late September, and the best viewing time is July and August. Because the green grasses are vital to the view, don't visit it in a wrong time of the year. Travel tip number 2, get a car or at least get private transportation. Unlike other tourist cities where you can easily manage ride-hailing through apps like Didi, China's Uber, you kind of have to drive yourself there. It takes around 1 to 1.5 hours drive between the sites. I understand it could be tricky for international visitors to get the driver's permit, and we may not have enough time to cover this topic in this video. But anyway, please prepare in advance. Travel tip number 3, get prepared for the weather. Bring a jacket or down jacket. I know it sounds crazy to bring them in the summer days, but it's because the wind there is so strong. And during the visit, I had to hold my cap all the time because to keep it from blowing away by the wind, and also because I saw down of horses on the grasslands. And also the weather could change very quickly on the grasslands, so maybe bring a raincoat or umbrella, but generally speaking, the temperature is pretty pleasant, 15 to 25 Celsius degrees even in the summer days. Travel tip number 4, book your train tickets, especially for the return trip. We were very lucky actually. We got the last ticket of the train on the day before we visit. And on the day visit, I checked if there were any more available tickets for the return trip, and it seemed all the tickets were almost sold out. So book in advance if you can. The booking starts as early as 14 days in advance. Travel tip number 5, choose the suitable tickets. If you search for tickets to Huanghuagou, by default they sell a bundle ticket of about 260 Chinese yuan per person, which includes different facilities and a Mongolian performance. Maybe you don't need all of that. For us, we just bought the entry tickets and the grassland train tickets because we were a little bit tired on the way back to the entry. I know some of you must be interested in the cost of this tour. I'll just list it here. We are actually a group of 2, and the total cost, not including food, is around 1,540 Chinese yuan. The train ticket is about 140 Chinese yuan for one way for one person. That's roughly 560 Chinese yuan in total. And we rented a car for the full day. That was roughly 350 Chinese yuan. Please be noted, we actually went there on a national holiday. So on a regular day, it was actually 100 to 200 Chinese yuan per day. The gasoline and the highway fee are around 200 Chinese yuan in total. The tickets are roughly 430 Chinese yuan, including the grasslands and the volcanoes. So in total, we spent roughly 1,500 to 1,600 Chinese yuan for 2 persons. I feel like it's not typical site or travel itinerary for most visitors, especially international travelers. However, if you're interested in a different landscape or want to try something new, probably could give it a try. At least we ourselves enjoyed it very much. And if you need any help in terms of the tours mentioned in this video, please feel free to reach out, despite we still mainly focus on the private tour options in Beijing. That's it. This is Tour Guide Chen. See you.
This is Tour Guide Chen, a licensed English tour guide featured on Beijing TV. I also run a registered travel agency in Beijing. Feel free to contact me via WhatsApp or email. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Welcome to Beijing and welcome to China.